Katie. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I have been a little bit quiet, still kind of recovering from my whole appendectomy fiasco. If you're not familiar yet with that, you can check back a couple videos ago in my sort of a weekly wrap-up video where I talk about my life update, but I'm doing okay. I am getting there. So I thought today I would like to try to make a few collage journal covers for some travelers notebooks out of scraps. So I have created one yesterday just to kind of show you what I'm doing, and I thought we could just, you know, do a little bit of like very calm, easygoing, casual, you know, creating artsy kind of stuff. And so today it's going to be these journal covers. So what I've done, I'm using this book that is a really big book that I don't have another use for really. Excuse me. It's the Art World, this large, great big book, and it's full of really good high quality paper. So I want to use it to make some journal covers out of, so, and some other stuff like ephemera and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is just hinge these with washi tape. Doesn't need to be anything really super sticky or anything, because we're going to be collaging over it and then Mod Podging over it. It's going to be deeply buried in the in the under realm of this paper, so nothing to be too concerned about. Yeah, so if you haven't already, you should just grab a cup of tea or coffee or something lovely and get your stuff out and just do some calm crafting with me. I have a lovely latte that my husband made for me because he's very kind. So I am using a giant bin of scraps that I have here, and I'm just going to start gluing things down. And I'm thinking that these particular journals are going to be kind of my, I call them like my odd socks books. It's like, you know, they're kind of a no specific theme, just a lot of lovely images and you know, fun ephemera and stuff. So that's what I am targeting with these books. I think I've been going through a lot of Canadian art magazines lately, and I've been pulling things out of them that I'll want to use use in journals. And so I have a lot of images and stuff like that that ended up in my scrap bin because I don't have a particular theme for the image, but the image is some kind of really beautiful art. So this is how I'm going to get started. So I will just stick her down here. And I just use a glue stick for this kind of collaging, and then I'm going to Mod Podge over everything after. So yeah, it's been an interesting kind of week. I have gone back to work this week. Of course, I work at home, so I'm an office worker, so I am still working at home. Here in Ontario, our COVID restrictions, we had sort of a stay-at-home order that was a very, I would say, loose kind of guideline. At least that's how it's treated, really. It ends today, I think, so nothing changes for me, but that's where we are with that. We have this like confusing 3 or 10 phase rollout of things that I've lost track. I don't have the energy for it anymore. I'm just sort of like, I'm not doing anything different till I have my second vaccine, and you know, even then I've got to be concerned about my unvaccinated children, so it's like, I don't know when this will change. We'll see. So, but that aside, I'm working at home, but like I've found it extremely exhausting, and I'm just like, I'm not someone who's used to resting, and I say that in a way that like I don't do a lot of things just like as solitary activities. Like I don't just watch television. I'm usually working on something else in the background, or something like that, right? And so for me, it's been a little bit challenging to just understand that I need the rest time, and that I need to just, you know, you're not back yet fully. And a friend of mine told me yesterday that when he had his appendix removed, it took him 6 weeks to feel normal again. So I'm like, okay, I just need to give myself time. You know, the biggest challenge is just the tiredness. Like I've been really sleepy, and I don't like how that makes you feel. But I'm taking probiotics, I'm eating greens, I'm, you know, just trying to maintain my health in all of the normal ways that you would, as best I can. So it's just going to be a bit of time. And I'm still going for my wound packing appointments every 2 days. I actually have one this afternoon. And that's going well. It's healing up. They are telling me, like, you know, it's getting better. But it's going to take some time. Which thankfully I have lots of at this point, hopefully. So yeah. But I wanted to mention and also just say a big thank you to all of the new subscribers that are here. So you're joining me at sort of a weird time, for which I will apologize. So I was lucky enough to be kindly mentioned on Robin Dudley Howe's YouTube channel, The Crafty Bohemian, and she is just the loveliest person. She's so, you know, she's just kind, and she's just really creative and fun, and she's just really sunshine. And she was kind enough to mention my channel and some other channels. I'll pop a link to her channel if you don't already know her. She does a lot of beautiful tutorials and makes lovely ephemera, and she's just a nice person. And so it was really nice of her to just kind of, you know, say, hey, did you hear about Studioloo? That was really nice. So I really say, you know, people like that are what make the community really nice. So thank you so much, Robin. I really appreciate it. But yeah, if you're new here, usually I am working on some kind of journal. I'm usually working on either a small series of some kind of journal or just a single journal, and I do, like, you know, typically make a few videos of the process of my journal making. I do make tutorials. I do weekly wrap-up videos where I show you all the kind of stuff that I'm working on. It sort of delves a little bit into like the floss tube sort of community, because I do a lot of things that are textile and fiber art related. So I do a few different things, and I make some other kinds of videos when I have time. I've done a few different short series that I need to actually invest a lot more time in, because I just haven't had time. But in case you're new here, I just had surgery a couple of weeks ago, so it was an unexpected blip in the universe for me. So things will be getting back to normal like pretty soon, but for now my videos might be a little bit less frequent and a little bit more kind of casual, not so planned. I need more glue. 1 second. There we go. So yeah, it's a bit of a different time to be joining me, but I'm really happy to have you here. So thank you for subscribing. We're just gonna have fun from here out. So yeah, again, I'm just pulling things out of my, you know, the typical big scrap bin that most paper artists and crafters have. I'm just kind of pulling things out of that and using up scraps. Because I just want to make a few traveler's notebooks. I think I'm feeling like traveler's notebooks are nice right now because, you know, in some parts of the world, we're able to travel again and people can safely do a few things. So maybe it'd be nice to take one along on your adventure. Always kind of fun to have something to tuck your little brochures into and snap your photos and maybe print them out later and glue them in and just document, you know, your days away at the cottage or something like that. It'd be a lot of fun. So that is my goal with these. And the measurement of these is about, excuse me, 8.5 by 5, with the pages of a traveler's notebook being about 8.25 by 4 3/8. And they may actually be subject to a little bit more trimming afterward. I may trim them. I'm definitely rounding the corners, just because I like to round the corners of the notebook. I think it looks nice. So I am just using some misprinted digitals now that I was printing for another project that I'm working on that I'll be sharing with you soon. These are just some misprints of some digitals. So it's nice to use them up. It's like every now and then I accidentally print in the wrong direction, or the wrong like portrait instead of landscape, or the size is off. I get distracted from time to time. But it's still lovely paper and cool images that you can use in collage. So I'm quite happy that it's Friday, or not Friday, oh my goodness, see, I want it to be Friday, Wednesday, because I was going to say, we're getting a little bit closer to Friday, and I feel like I need Friday. I just need the weekend, I'm sleepy. But we'll get there. I also had to, so when I started making traveler's notebooks, like with the Wishes and Weeds make along, I was talking about how I was making a couple of notebooks just for myself because I had vacation planned in June, and it was actually supposed to be next week that we were going on sort of a camping trip, but I had to delay it because of, well, the whole appendix situation. I can't be out doing stuff like that right now, so I delayed it to July. So it's still happening, but in July instead. And I'm really looking forward to it. I was really feeling like with work and everything, like I really wanted to take a break. I'm very tired. Work is really intense right now, and you know, but then being sort of forced to be away from work for 2 weeks, I feel oddly refreshed in that way. Like I don't feel as overwhelmed as I had felt about, you know, just everything that was kind of dredging along at work. I mean, I have really great coworkers who did an amazing job of taking care of things while I was away, and I really appreciate them for that, because they made it so that when I came back, it wasn't hard to catch up. And honestly, usually it is. When I go away, there's just so much, and when I get back, it's like I feel like I have to spend a week catching up on the week I was away, and it's like by the time I get through that cycle, I feel like I need another vacation. But this time it didn't feel that way. What I did was I just logged in to my work on the Sunday before I officially went back. I spent about 3 or 4 hours going through emails, doing reading of, you know, stuff that was happening, and just familiarizing myself what I'd missed. And then I was able to kind of come back fresh-faced on Monday with no major concerns. And that's always a nice thing, is like not feeling like, you know, you have this due to pay for your own absence. So it's one of those things. But we're also very short-staffed at my company, unfortunately. It's just the way my company has been changing has been causing a lot of our jobs to be shared in a cross-border way, and so market realities, right? It's tough stuff, but thankfully it's not too bad. Trying to use up some of these little strips that I end up with from trimming the ends of paper, but I don't want it to look too like disjointed. So that's good. Okay. So many scraps. I have this cool like this cool piece of embossed paper. I'm not going to use it, but it's so neat. This guy had his own like embossing tool with his own signature, and I had gotten some like books recently from an auction. So it's like the Library of David G. Gary, and like it's a really nice raised emboss. It's so cool. But I'm not going to be using his name on anything, so I guess I don't need to keep that little scrap. I'll probably ink all this up after I get it all laid down. I'll ink all the edges of the papers and stuff before I do the Mod Podging. So the weather here where I am is getting much nicer. We had a very weird kind of weather snap. Like it was super hot, and then of course that's when our air conditioning system decided to do something weird with our thermostat, so my dad had to sort that out for us. But then of course as soon as he got that sorted out, the weather became like freezing cold. We actually had snow last week, like the end of the week. I think it was maybe like, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday. It was snowing these big fluffy snowballs. Like it was so weird. Like they didn't last, you know, but like for the full day they did. There was snow. It was really weird. And now it's like warm again. It's warming up this week. So I don't know. I'm worried for people's gardens though. I'm kind of like, oh dear, you know, because this is that time of year where usually where I live, we say that May 24th is like the last, you know, potential for frost, but I don't know. This year has been weird. And like some plants can deal a little bit with that kind of stuff. Like I have a lot of plants and I have a lot of seedlings in too. My plants were okay. My squash and cucumbers and tomatoes, they're all fine. Like a lot of my plants are more hardy. And my greens aren't up yet, so they didn't, you know, suffer disaster. So I do have a little bit of Oricup, and like it was really durable. So what is this? Just some old paper. I need to go through my scraps and use up things like this. I don't know what to do with this cardstock. I have to think about it. But it gets in the way of my normal scrap paper that I'm using to like do things with. And I end up with all these random things that I don't know what to use. What is this? Some neutral kind of flowers. This book is looking quite neutral so far, which is strange for me. Most of what I'm pulling out of my scraps is neutral. I'm like, what's going on? Okay. Book pages. Yeah, so I think this week I might just try to make a few of these sort of make along, craft with me kind of videos, just so I allow myself a little bit of time in the morning to just relax and do this kind of thing and use up scraps. Maybe that'll be the other thing I do this week. I also have I would like to use up some book pages. I would like to use up some books that I've used for other journals where I have left over just a couple, like a few of the book pages that are left over. I would like to maybe try to use some of them up to make ephemera. So I think I will do a bit of that. A boring area there. And obviously you can come back when you do this kind of collage and you can add like your focal points that you want to. If you have like something that you'd really like to stick on the front of a journal, this is the chance to do that. Before you do your Mod Podging and all of that. And I think the pages in these books are going to be sort of a mix of just nice papers that I have that I've dyed, and some book pages from random different books where I only have a little bit of the book left and that sort of thing. Because the nice thing about a traveler's notebook is that you can do a lot of like gluing of your own things, and so like not every page has to necessarily be either writing paper or, you know, a specific paper that you want to see in the journal. You can use things. I mean, you can make these entirely out of junk mail if you want, where none of the pages hold any real like visual value to you. You can just use whatever you want and come back to it and stick things on top of it, kind of like a glue book. But I like to try to make mine like a bit, you know, fun, that you would like to use the pages I include mostly. I tend to keep kind of the glue book type pages mostly for glue books, but I haven't really made a glue book in a while, which I'm okay with. I still have a few of them in my shop if you're interested. I have little golden book glue books that are in my shop that are very cute and ready to go. I had a little sort of mass make of those a while ago, so still lots of those hanging about. I'm hoping maybe later today, if I have a little time, I'm just kind of relaxing, I may spin a bit of yarn too. I've got 2 yarns that are on my bobbins that need to be plied together. I want to make like just a nice kind of fun barber pole kind of plied yarn. I like making them. They make me think of my late friend Carolyn. From her business was Pink Peppercorns, and she was this lovely lady who she made really beautiful plied yarns. Okay, a bunch of book pages kind of mixed up in here, and this one, it looks like it has a poem on it, which might be nice to include. Just looking to make sure there's nothing like super negative. Some of these poems can really devolve into like very negative things. You really got to look through these old books and not send out bad vibes to people in sad poems. Okay, so this I think maybe I'll put right there. The Perils of the Ocean. Okay, so this looks like it is pretty much filled up now. For both of these, actually, I'm going to do some inking. With my, I think I will use Vintage Photo. And I'm going to be stitching around all of these as well. Probably adding some stitching through the center, like between the images. I'm also going to be adding pockets onto the inside and the front of the journals, and then I'm going to be using a 5-hole pamphlet stitch to close them up with the pages, and I will probably use some vintage seam binding as the ties. But for now, we'll just add a bit of ink to just make this paper all kind of blend together a little more. Add a little age. Okay, that's that side. I think today we hear about if the Ontario parks will be open for camping or not. I think we have some kind of a news briefing at like 1 o'clock today in Ontario to hear about how our situation may or may not be changing restrictions wise. I'm honestly just feeling so kind of nervous because for me it's like, regardless of where the numbers ever are, what's important is how many people are vaccinated or not. And for us in Ontario, the only people who can get the second dose right now are frontline medical workers, and they just opened it apparently this week. They made the announcement that people over 80 can get it apparently, and you know, but again, it's one of these things where like they may make the announcement, but like goodness knows when that actually comes to fruition, when they actually get the system in place to implement that, to get the vaccines to people, to make it so that people can book, because especially for seniors who often don't use the internet, it's like, yeah, not easy for them to book things like this. This one, I'm going to use Rusty Hinge. This because it's a different nice color, but it's still a nice brown. Kind of coppery, which is nice because there's some metallic in this. I like using the oxides when you have like mixed paper like this, because some papers pick it up a lot, other papers just pick it up sort of normal like an ink, but I like how it looks. I think it's nice, especially with a color like this. It's like, it's very nice. And I'm just going between all the paper seams, getting any paper core that's exposed, and just blending the lines where there's any kind of a hard edge from the paper folds. And then of course I do all the way around the edges of the paper too. Just kind of frames it all together. And so on my walks lately, I've seen lots of nice nature happening. Unfortunately, I'm also seeing a lot of gypsy moth. We are so racked with gypsy moths these last couple of years. They're really decimating the hardwoods in a lot of Ontario. And they are these tiny little black caterpillars right now, which are toxic. They can leave like a blistery ring on your skin that's reminiscent when you look at it, almost like ringworm. And but it's not ringworm. It's not like embedded down in the skin. It's just the little tiny hairs on the caterpillar are like, they contain toxin, little poison that just leaves like a blistering on the skin. So the annoying thing though is that they're out by like the thousands, and they can blow in the wind off the trees. Like I had to get one off of my husband's shoulder on his t-shirt the other day, and we're in the car. We had just come from a walk, and my husband's sitting in the car, and all of a sudden like I slapped him on the shoulder to like get this bug off of him. And my daughter, my 4-year-old, sitting there, and she's just looking at me and looking at him like aghast, because like, you know, we don't hit in this family. It was so funny. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just getting a bug off of his shoulder. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, has my mom gone crazy? Yeah. So they are ugly, nasty little things, and they are decimating the trees, but there's a lot of nice things happening too. I just realized I covered up this poor girl's face. We're gonna have to peel this back a little. There we go. And don't worry about things like this because we're gonna be Mod Podging over this whole thing after I stitch around it and stuff. So yeah, we saw an opossum the other day, and he was really cute. And you know, obviously we kept our distance, but he was sitting up on a fence at the graveyard, and he was just kind of scoping out someone's garden who lives on the opposite side of the graveyard. And so we just kind of watched him for a while, and that was nice. And then we have been seeing a lot of beautiful flowers, lots of big nice like purple globe flowers and lily of the valley, tulips, you know, all those nice kind of early summer flowers. Bleeding heart, all sorts of pretty things. Okay, so I've just rounded the corners. I'm going to go back, and after I Mod Podge, I'm going to sand it a bit too, and it will have a whole more finished kind of look and feel to it. So yeah, but outside of that, we haven't really done a whole lot. Just walking and stuff. Okay, there we go. So, all right, I have 2 covers, finished 1 in this video, and next will be the Mod Podging and stitching, and then after that I'll be adding some pockets and stuff to them. But I think they're going to make really fun, nice little travel journals, and I am going to enjoy finishing them up. Yeah. So thank you so much. I think probably this is a video because I should more than likely soon get started on the workday. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will be back maybe with the next step of this, or maybe actually I might make some children's book ephemera, because what I like to do when people purchase one of my journals or anything from my shop, I like to send them a little something cute. Or I also need to make ephemera for these journals because my ephemera box is like so empty right now. It's amazing. So yeah, I'll probably make some ephemera videos this week too. So please come and hang out with me. I would really enjoy it. So have a lovely day. Hopefully you have some nice weather. I will talk to you soon. All my social media information is linked down below in the description box. And thanks again. Bye for now.